The road has a way of clearing your head. And once it does, you stop lying to yourself about family. I am 37 years old. And as far back as I can remember, my mother has always had a soft spot for my younger brother, Ryan, who is 31. Calling it favoritism feels inadequate. In her eyes, Ryan could never truly do wrong. No matter what happened, there was always an excuse waiting. I learned early on that the rules were different for us. If Ryan failed a class, it was the teacher's fault. If he lost a job, his boss was intimidated by him. And when he made choices that hurt other people, my mother found a way to justify those too. That pattern followed us into adulthood. Until the moment everything finally collapsed. Ryan had been married to my sister-in-law, Vanessa, who is 27, for 5 years. She was one of the kindest people I have ever known. Patient, soft-spoken, loyal to a fault. She gave my brother far more grace than he ever deserved. Ryan was unfaithful, not just once. This was not a single lapse in judgment. It was habitual. Over the years, he carried on repeated betrayals, each one messier than the last. Vanessa found messages, emails, hotel receipts, proof layered on top of proof. Every time she confronted him, my mother intervened. She repeated the same lines. A good wife forgives. Men have urges. Marriage requires endurance. The breaking point came when Vanessa walked into their home and saw everything herself. No speculation. No screenshots. She saw it with her own eyes. That was when she finally left. When I heard about the divorce, I reached out to Vanessa immediately. She was devastated. She said she felt foolish for staying as long as she did. I told her the truth. She should have left sooner. And none of this was her fault. She thanked me for always standing by her. I thought that was the end of it. Then my mother called. She sounded almost cheerful, relieved. She said she was glad Ryan was finally free. According to her, Vanessa had been too demanding. Ryan needed space. A fresh start. Something to celebrate. Then she told me what she expected. She wanted me to help organize a divorce party for my brother. First, I laughed. I genuinely thought she was joking. But she kept going. Decorations, invitations, music, a large gathering, a public display of family support. I told her no. She went silent. Then asked if I was serious. I told her I had never been more serious in my life. I said I would not celebrate the destruction of a marriage my brother ruined through selfishness and repeated betrayal. I reminded her that Vanessa treated our family with respect, that she endured years of humiliation, and that Ryan was not the victim in this story. Her tone changed instantly. She accused me of betraying my own blood. She said a real sister would never side against family. She called me ungrateful, manipulated, disloyal. Then she crossed a line I never expected. She asked if I was even really her child. She said no daughter of hers would ever defend an outsider over her own brother. I told her biology meant nothing if loyalty required abandoning basic decency. That was when she disowned me. She said if I could not stand with the family, I was no longer part of it. She told me not to come around again. And if I cared so much about Vanessa, maybe I should go be her sister instead. I told her maybe I would. When the call ended, my hands were shaking. I was furious, but I was not surprised. I had always known she would choose Ryan over me. Still, hearing it out loud hurt more than I expected. Even so, I did not regret my decision. I refused to abandon my values just to preserve the illusion of family unity. Being cut off felt like a strange kind of relief. My mother lived for chaos. And I knew this was not the end of it. About a week later, messages started coming in from relatives. Some said they were confused. They asked if it was true that I had abandoned my family over a misunderstanding. Others were openly hostile. They accused me of being cruel and heartless for refusing to support my brother during a hard time. I ignored most of them. Then my Aunt Valerie reached out. Her message felt different. Calm, careful. She said she was not calling to pressure me, but she thought I needed to know what my mother had been saying. According to her, my mother had gone completely off the rails. She was telling anyone who would listen that I had dishonored my late father by siding with Vanessa. Worse than that, she was claiming my refusal to support Ryan proved I was not really my father's child. I sat there in stunned silence. My mother had never questioned this before. Not once in my entire life. But now, suddenly, she was convinced. Aunt Valerie said my mother told relatives she had always felt something was wrong with me. That my lack of loyalty finally made sense. because I was not truly one of them. I laughed, but there was nothing funny about it. I asked my aunt if she believed any of this. She said absolutely not, but my mother had fully committed to the story. She had even told Ryan, and he believed her without question. The irony was impossible to ignore. If her claims were true, she was openly admitting to acting dishonestly with my father. Somehow, that implication did not bother her at all. Less than an hour later, my phone rang. It was my mother. I almost let it go to voicemail, but I answered. She jumped straight in. She said she needed the truth. She told me that if I had nothing to hide, I would agree to take a DNA test. I asked her if she was serious. She said she was completely serious. She claimed she deserved clarity. I told her I was not entertaining her delusions. That did not go over well. She started ranting, insisting everything made sense now. She said my personality alone proved I did not belong. I cut her off. I told her I was done with the conversation. Then I blocked her. I thought that was the worst it could get. I was wrong. Vanessa called me later that day. She sounded shaken. She asked if I had seen what was being discussed in the family group chat. I told her I had not. She told me to look. That was when I learned the truth. Ryan was not just unfaithful. He was in serious trouble. One of the people Ryan had been involved with was connected to a large-scale financial investigation. Because of their relationship, Ryan had been pulled into the investigation. There were accusations involving misused funds, unauthorized business dealings, and potential legal consequences. My uncle had been warned, and he was now warning everyone else. My stomach dropped. When I called Vanessa back, she told me she had just found out too. She said she was grateful she had left when she did. If she had stayed married to him, she might have been dragged into the mess herself. Then she told me the part that made everything click. My mother knew. She had known for weeks that Ryan was facing serious consequences. The divorce party was never about celebration. It was about distraction, about burying the truth. She was willing to disown me, question my identity, and humiliate herself publicly, all to shield my brother. That was when I realized I needed to stay as far away from them as possible. And this was only the beginning. It did not take long. Within minutes of posting that recording, my phone lit up. Notifications stacked faster than I could read them. I knew my mother had seen it immediately, because she started calling right away. Once, twice, 7 times in a row. I ignored every call. Then the messages started pouring in, text after text, each one more frantic than the last. She said I had crossed a line, that I was heartless for embarrassing her in front of the family, that I had taken something private and turned it into a public spectacle. I did not respond, because I could see exactly what was happening. She was scared. For the first time, she had lost control of the story. She could no longer twist it, or paint herself as the victim. Everyone had heard her own words. There was nothing left to spin. Then the rest of the family started speaking up. My Aunt Valerie was the first. She said she was beyond disgusted. She admitted she had always known my mother favored Ryan, but this went far beyond favoritism. She called it delusional. My uncle Robert followed. He said he was ashamed to share a last name with her. Then my grandmother sent a voice message. My mother had always feared her more than anyone else. And when I heard my grandmother's voice, calm but cold, it sent a chill through me. She said she never wanted my mother to speak my father's name again. That dragging his memory into this mess was unforgivable. She ended by saying she was done with her. That was when my mother completely unraveled. She sent long voice notes, crying, yelling, her words tripping over each other. She claimed she never meant to imply she had acted dishonestly with my father. She said she was just hurt, emotional, desperate, because I had chosen Vanessa over Ryan. She repeated the same excuse again and again. She was just a mother trying to protect her son. That was when I finally replied. I laughed, but there was nothing funny about it. What hurt the most was how easily she rewrote the past. As if years of love, effort, and loyalty could be erased the moment I stopped enabling my brother's behavior. I thanked my aunt for telling me. She hesitated before asking a final question. Had I noticed anything strange about my mother's finances lately? That question caught me off guard. I told her no. I kept my distance from my mother's personal affairs, but my aunt explained why she asked. Apparently, my mother had been quietly supporting Ryan for years. Not just emotionally, financially, large transfers, loans that were never repaid, Covering debts she refused to talk about. First, I assumed it was typical favoritism taken too far, but then my aunt lowered her voice. She said the money was connected to something much bigger. Ryan had been involved in serious financial misconduct. Nothing violent, but deeply dishonest. Risky deals, misused funds, and people asking questions. My mother knew. She had known for a long time. And instead of stopping him, she protected him. She believed loyalty meant shielding him from consequences, even if it meant lying, even if it meant sacrificing her own integrity. I felt sick, not because I was surprised by Ryan, but because my mother had crossed a line I could not ignore. She had not disowned me out of grief. She disowned me because I refused to participate in the cover-up. Suddenly, everything made sense. The urgency, the rage, the desperation to control the narrative. A public celebration was never about joy. It was about distraction. A way to convince everyone that Ryan was fine, that nothing serious was happening. I asked my aunt if anyone else knew. She said a few relatives suspected something was wrong. And now, investigators were beginning to look more closely. That was when I realized something important. My mother was not angry because I embarrassed her. She was afraid. Afraid that I would not stay quiet. Afraid that I would not lie for her. Afraid that I would not protect Ryan at any cost. In that moment, being disowned stopped hurting. It felt like freedom. I blocked my mother's number. Not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. I sent one final message to the family group chat. I said I would no longer engage in conversations built on lies. That I wished them peace, but I would not be part of the damage anymore. Then I left the group. Weeks passed. Then months. The noise faded. And for the first time in my life, things were quiet. Vanessa and I stayed in touch. She slowly rebuilt her life. Stronger, calmer, free. As for Ryan, reality eventually caught up with him. When consequences arrived, my mother could no longer shield him. The truth does not disappear just because someone refuses to face it. I do not know if my mother ever reflected on her choices. We have not spoken since, and I am at peace with that. Family is not defined by blood alone. It is defined by accountability, by honesty, by the courage to do what is right. And sometimes the hardest choice is the one that finally sets you free.